Did I get blocked again? Did I get blocked again for some fucking reason? Okay, I guess I'm live. It told me that I wasn't, but apparently I am. Let's see what happens here. So, it must mean it's going to be a good live stream. All right, so today what I want to share with you, is this working? Am I on here? There I am. All right, so what I want to share with you today is something that I had a very powerful dream a couple nights ago. And I've been sitting with it and thinking about it. And I believe that we have come to, in our world, in our timeline, we've come to a very serious shift. And it's time to stop screwing around. We are going into a phase of ascension. In fact, we're in it. You know, this whole COVID thing is a manifestation of the universe saying it's time to stop screwing around. You got to get serious about this thing. You got to stop being wound up in your own narcissistic bubble of, self-pity or, all the garbage that people are, that think spirituality is, all of the, all of the conspiracy theory nutbags, all of the victims, all of the love and light who are just simply shoving all of their feelings down and pretending to be spiritual. When in reality what they're doing is they're just avoiding all of their uncomfortable feelings. And so I have a ninefold path, which if you have a notebook or something, or if you're watching this, I guess you can do it when it's live too, but if you're watching it after it's been restreamed, you can take some notes on your computer or whatever. But I'm going to give you the ninefold path towards being able to accomplish this shift. And I won't get into the detail of the dream, but basically what I came to realize in the dream, what was communicated to me, is that it's time to step in for me as well as for everybody else. It's time for me to step into my ascended self. Now, don't take that in any weird way. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop being human or anything like that. It basically means that we see our trajectory through this reality from a multiple life perspective. And for me, and I think for other people as well, there is this call to stepping into and owning your spiritual mastery to whatever degree that is. And it's because we're going through a shift, a major shift. And these kinds of shifts, when they come, they're not the kind of shifts that, again, the love and light crowd is going to say, yeah, just focus on everything that's beautiful and then it'll all be rosy and pink. And, that's not the kind of shift I'm talking about. The only people who are going to survive this kind of shift are spiritual warriors. So for me, has always been the most powerful path, is the path of the spiritual warrior. I don't know any other path to take, of being ruthless with oneself and being willing to drop all of the victim mentality. As you know, I teach that. And not only to vigilantly look at yourself and take full responsibility for everything in your life, challenging or otherwise, but also to look upon your karmic challenges as a warrior would on an enemy. Your karmic challenges within yourself are enemies that you need to defeat. And so you have to have spiritual power to do that. So I'll see how much we get into it, but as I walk through each of these 9 steps, we'll see. But we've got to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. And we've got to stop looking for, waiting for everything to treat us the way a parent treats an infant. And all of those of you who are upset and angry at the universe, who believe that you're trapped in a matrix, who believe that there are beings of light trying to torture you, you are basically having a childish, infantile temper tantrum. You're here to be adults. You're here to be mature. And you're here to be warriors. Every soul that incarnates because that soul has a desire to be a spiritual warrior. And I can tell you from experience that if you adopt the mindset of a spiritual warrior and you follow all, this is what all of my books and everything are about, then you actually can have everything that you want. But it doesn't happen until you decide to grow up, to become mature, and to take full responsibility for everything and fight for what you want. We've been taught to sit around and wait for it. Christianity taught us that if you just sit around and pray in Jesus' name and wait for God's will, that God will show up like a butler and give you all kinds of happy things. Or if not, then it means you're just supposed to carry your cross, which is the tool of your destruction. You know that term, carry your cross? We don't think about it a lot, but that means to actually carry on your back the tool for your torture and destruction. And I don't believe in that. That's why my ancestors didn't like that. They looked at Jesus on the cross and they called him the white Christ, which means pale. It doesn't mean white like in a racial thing. It means pale because there's no blood in him, because he has no power, he has no passion, he has no strength. It was a sign of weakness. The idea of surrendering yourself to your torturers to be tortured and killed was the exact opposite of a spiritual warrior. Those who died in battle went to Valhalla, which means it doesn't mean dying, in a physical, violent death, although that might happen, but that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about being willing to die to have your desires met. And it's the exact opposite of what we've been programmed to do. So, if you're feeling trapped, it's all right. You don't need to feel guilty. This isn't about being perfect. A lot of people, when I talk about what I do and what I recommend to have the life of your dreams, if people aren't doing it, lots of times they feel that I am judging them. And that's just, that's again part of the programming. You're waiting to have somebody come along and validate you. And the whole point of life is for you to go out and validate yourself. Don't wait around for somebody else to do it. So let's get into the 9 steps of this awakening. What is happening in this shift is there is right now the call to awaken within yourself, the spiritual warrior, the ascended master, the light worker. I normally don't like that word. Actually, that word is pretty good, light worker. I don't like the association, the new agey sort of, I'm a light worker and I just spread light everywhere I go. I don't like it because usually those people tend to deny their feelings. They tend to be passive and they tend to be very codependent. People pleasers, and they mistake people pleasing with healing. And so we're not going to talk about that on this channel, but light worker is a good name. So awaken to your light worker essence, awaken to your spiritual warrior. So first of 9 steps. Seek out any victim mentality within you. I teach this in all of both the free and the paid certification courses. By the way, lockdown.thunderwizard.com, still in effect. Go check it out. In all of the courses, even the free one on here, put some time and effort if you haven't seen it, and watch my free shamanic certification videos on here. And the first thing that I teach you is to seek out and get rid of any victim mentality within you. And a victim mentality is exactly that. Any part of you that thinks you're being spiritual and thinks that you're thinking outside of the box because you've discovered how they're doing it to you, whoever they are, whether that be beings of light, archons, aliens, reptilians, whether that be the Illuminati, or whether it be the elite, or whether it's the intellectuals, or whether it's the government, or whether it's scientists, everybody has one. It's just rampant. It's a disease. The disease of victim mentality, which presents itself either as that, you walk around as a victim whining and complaining about why nothing works for you, or you put on the false costume, the false facade of being the spiritual warrior by talking about all of the conspiracies that they're all out to get you. You feel angry and you feel empowered by talking about it, but in reality, you're just a big giant victim. You're just a big giant baby whining and complaining. Because the truth of the matter is there's always been corruption. And I don't care if we're talking about a tribe out in the middle of the Amazon. There's going to be some guy in that tribe who's going to want to get the power. He's going to want to get all the coconuts. In modern society, civilized society, it's having all of the money. Well, there's some guy out there, in the Amazon, or some guy in whatever parts of New Guinea that don't have people, or on the Andaman Islands. And then there's some guy there who wants all the coconuts. And he's going to play games and play politics within the tribe to get all the coconuts. You're going to always have it. So just get over it. Whatever things you think you see are going on right now, there's nothing new about it. And we could sit here and debate whether or not there is this, Illuminati conspiracy to whatever. Or just to, realize that it's not that intense. There's just a lot of really selfish people. But it doesn't matter. It's always been that way, and it always will be. The only difference is whether or not you choose to make that part of your reality. I don't. And the only reason you make it part of your reality is because you within yourself are not taking responsibility for your true spiritual power. So, I'll try and, talk about it as succinctly as possible, but I share this all the time. That everything in your reality is your own projection. And whatever you have in your external world is a projection of your internal state of being. If you have poverty, illness, chaos, dysfunction in your external world, it's because that's what's within you. And until you fix what's inside of you, your external world will always reflect what's going on inside of you. So if you want to believe that archons and aliens and the Illuminati and Democrats or Republicans are out to destroy your world, then that's what's going to happen. Because that's what's going on inside of you. You're being a child. You're not owning up to your spiritual power. And spiritual power doesn't mean going and changing things out there. I'm not against that. I mean, if I have a lot of respect for actual activists, like people who go and try and change laws, in ways that actually change things, as opposed to people who, just whine and complain or, cause destruction or whatever. Just seeking, just having a temper tantrum. There's a difference between those people and actual activists who are going to actually try and change things in the external world. I'm okay with that. But if you are connected to yourself, and if you are like a warrior, going after what makes you happy, because look, you're only, it's you can almost look at it as like it's, take what you can get out of it. Wasting time trying to get the universe, not really the universe, wasting your time trying to get people to be fair to you is just that. It's a waste of time. But if you take responsibility that you are infinite, that you have all of the power in the universe to have whatever you want, then whatever anybody else does isn't going to matter. You're bulletproof. You could be in the midst of all the chaos and all of the craziness and all of that, and if you are connected within yourself, you will be bulletproof. That's been my experience anyway. So the first thing you need to do is to seek out any victim mentality within you and get honest about it, and then get rid of it. And the way you get rid of it is to act opposite that. So that brings me to the second point. The second point, if you want to awaken yourself to your spiritual warrior status, your true orlog, your light worker status, to be able to be part of this transformation, to survive this transformation. The second thing is you've got to reprogram your mind to the original relationship to your soul and the universe. So you have been programmed. And you have been programmed in the exact opposite manner of what is true. What is true is not what you think, which is that you are this tiny being that has been forced to come here, that you've been punished, that there's this giant being called God, which sits over you and has a plan for you, and is mapping out your life for you, and that may be good or bad depending on whether or not you're going to be punished or whether or not you're a good person. You chose to come here, and it was a privilege that you started out as an infinite spirit being, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipowerful, not trapped in three-dimensional space-time, and you live in bliss. When you're in your spirit, you are in bliss. That is your original state. Your original state of being is pure infinity and bliss, and that's how you started out. And then you had the strength and you had the bravery to come into a physical body and take all of that infinity, and you have to understand how big of a transformation that is, because your soul does not reside in space-time. Your soul does not experience linear time. You know, now the stronger experiences I'm having working with my guides is that they are not trapped in space-time, which means that they're in the future and they're in my past, and they are accomplishing all kinds of things in ways that I can't see, based upon my compass. And my compass is listening to what my soul wants to make me happy doing. I mean, I've been out surfing for 3 days in a row, because this is the best time of year here in Queensland, Australia. The wind shifts and it's offshore, and it's just, so I'm barely functioning. I can barely lift my arms, but I'm happiest. This is the thing that makes me the most happy. And that's my main responsibility. And as you know, I have completely, totally devoted everything in my life to have exactly what I have. And I'll sacrifice anything to do it. My business, including this, is completely focused on giving me all the time and the energy and the finances to live my dream. That is your first responsibility, because your soul came here to have an experience of its joy in three-dimensional space-time. And since you are God, you are infinite God, you've chosen to be here, and you've chosen to put on this avatar, to put yourself inside in your body, and your soul lives right here in the heart center. And your soul has fused with the brain and the spinal cord and the nervous system of this body. You look through all of your senses so that you can experience space-time in a linear fashion, and you can accomplish things and achieve things and have fun and bring your joy into your life. That's what you're here to do. Now, since you have created this bubble of space-time, my ancestors called it the web of weird. The Vedics call it Maya. You can call it a matrix. Those are all good words that try to explain this life force, this conscious life force energy, 3D space-time bubble that your avatar can function in, which is your physical body. Your avatar can function in it, but your soul can't. Your soul is in multiple timelines all the time. It's stuck in one place. So in order to be in one timeline and have, in order for me to actually go and surf waves, I have to have this avatar so that I can experience the 3D fun of actually being able to have this invisible wave of energy that moves through water, that does this weird stuff to water, that picks up my surfboard and pushes me forward. I can't do that if I'm a soul, because I'm not in this, I'm not trapped in the bubble of space-time. So those of you who want to escape the matrix, first thing you got to do is you got to make yourself happy and not have anything left that you want out of life. But the second thing is that understand there's a whole smorgasbord of fun. Sex. You can't have sex if you're a spirit. You can only have sex if you're a human. You can't have personal one-on-one relationships in the way that we do unless you're in a human body. You can't go out and climb mountains. You can't go out and surf waves. You can't go out and ride bikes or skateboard or snowboard or whatever it is that makes you happy unless you're in this 3D avatar. Okay? So that's what your soul came to do. Now, the space-time energy bubble, which is your creation, and you put consciousness in it, is programmed to give you all of the resources you need in order for your soul to have Disneyland fun down here. And so if you are able to tap into your joy and then go do it, the universe, like an ATM machine, will start spitting out money if that's what you need. Some people don't need money. Most of you think you do, and a lot of you need a lot less than what you think. But, I've had this really strange thing happen for me. There have been times recently where I was spending a lot of money. You don't want to know how much money I was spending. And it was things that I was doing for myself to make myself happy. And it did. Made me very happy. But it was very expensive. And I technically didn't have the money to afford it, but for some reason, no matter how much money I was spending, my bank account was staying at the same amount. Now, there have been times in my life when I have been not spending money and I've been saving money out of fear and, trying to do the right thing, and my money just kept on going away, no matter how much money I saved or how much money I made. Now, I guess if we looked at it, we could probably figure out what was going on, but my experience is that when I'm operating from my soul and going after what my soul wants, the universe acts like an ATM machine. It just gives me whatever resources I need. So we've got it backwards. People want to wait to have all the money. I can't go follow my dreams, so I have to wait for the money. I have to get a job. I have to have just go do it. But in order for that to happen, you have to be fearless. You have to have the trust and believe that the universe wants to give you what you want, and that it will give you what you want after you take action. If you take action, the universe responds. So that is where you have to change your mentality. If you believe that you are a small being, you've been created by God, and that God has thrown you onto this space-time flat earth so that you have to, who knows what you have to do, and you are a victim of circumstance and of people that have more power than you and more money than you, or women or men or governments, or if you believe that there are things that can control you, manipulate you, and affect you, then your understanding of the universe is just simply incorrect. Now, I say it like it's a real easy thing to do, but it's not. Just, the challenge, the emotional challenge and the psychological challenge of changing and shifting from being a small, tiny victim of circumstance to an immense, infinite, all-powerful being who's choosing to come here in the 3D virtual reality they've created. That is a big shift. And most of you are waiting for some kind of proof. You're waiting for some being of light to appear in front of you with a winning lottery ticket and say, oh yeah, here's all, go have fun. And you don't realize that until you can own it within yourself, you won't be able to manifest it. And it's not a judgment if you can't own it within yourself, because now we get to the second part. The first part is that your soul came here to have a 3D virtual reality experience in order to achieve its joy. Your first and most important task in this life is to determine what gives you joy, and to go do it no matter who or what tries to get in your way. It's the first thing. Second thing is, once you do that, not only do you kickstart the universe to give you what you need, but you also kickstart the release of all of your unconscious, past life, karmic issues. Now, your unconscious past life karmic issues are going to feel like sins. It's going to feel like you're being punished for sins, but you're not. These are what happens in every lifetime. When you come here and you do not go after your joy, and you try to please other people, or out of fear seek to be accepted, or out of fear seek to surround yourself with money and physical possessions, out of the misunderstanding that that's what's going to make you safe, then what ends up happening is that it's like your timeline gets kind of, you get all these like wrinkles. It's like it's not in a straight line. It goes off on all these weird tangents. And so when you go after your joy in every lifetime, all of the past issues that you had, you can call them mistakes if you want, but that's not what it is. It's not like you're being punished for a mistake. It's that you created sort of this negative, crappy energy that is stuck, what are called samskaras. So imagine in your aura you have these little bubbles of samskaras, which are in past life energy that's stuck within you based on your fear-based decisions. In other words, you forgot what your relationship is, which is number one, you are infinite, you are God, you're here to follow your joy, and that you're to go after your joy no matter what or who tries to stop you. And if you do that in every single lifetime, and if you're willing to do what my ancestors did, which is die for what makes you happy, be willing to die to get what you want, then you've got a straight path. So if you're wondering what is with those people who are just born and they seem to have everything and they can just do whatever they want, no matter what they do, they're successful at it, or they just keep picking themselves up, and no matter what, they're like, yeah, whatever. If I want it bad enough, it'll happen. You know that there are people out there like that. But what you do, many of you anyway, because you haven't done that and because you don't know how to do that now, is you see them, interestingly enough, you see them as Illuminati, or you'll see them as, what's interesting to me is that all somebody has to do to become a reptilian is become a successful celebrity. If you're a successful celebrity, you're automatically a reptilian. The unconscious assumption is that no human will be allowed to be successful and happy. So if you're successful and happy, it must mean that you're one of those reptilians. It just means that you don't believe that you can have what you want. So you sit around complaining about it, and you externalize that, and you throw your projection onto somebody who's happy and successful, who has either they've got a lot of karma built up, or that's what their soul wanted to experience, or they could just be one of those people that just knows how to go after what they want and get it. So you have to the second thing is you have to reprogram your mind to your original relationship to your soul and the universe. You chose to be here. You are infinite. Your essence is joy. When you tap into your joy will tell you what you want to experience. Go do it, and then the universe will be your ATM machine. The second part is once you do that, all of your karmic lessons will pop up in front of you to try and stop you. And that sounds simple, but it's not. It may feel like you're dying. It may be and I've experienced this when I've gone after this channel, and I know, once I knew what my path was, and I started putting effort into this channel and writing these books, my self-hatred and my insecurity and my negative programming, my childhood stuff came up, and there were days that I couldn't get out of bed. I was so depressed. I hated myself so much. I wanted to put a gun to my head. But that's part of the deal. So you can't let that stop you. No matter how horrible you feel, no matter how insecure you feel, no matter how unworthy and how unlovable you think you are, no matter how much you think people are going to judge you, you go do the thing that your soul told you it wanted to do. And you will be successful, and you will overcome your challenges. Video games are not fun if they're not the possibility of the monster coming up and killing your man. It's not fun. If it's too easy, it's not fun. It's only fun when you learn how to, defeat the monster and get past all of the obstacles. And then it's fun as hell. And that's the way life is. It's exactly the same. That's why people love to play video games, because it's exactly how spiritual life works. You've incarnated into this virtual reality in 3 dimensions. You have this avatar that you call your physical body. And your soul plays around so that it can be in this virtual world and enjoy it. All right? So the second thing is you have to reprogram your mind to your original relationship to your soul and the universe, which is you're infinite, you chose to be here, and when you go after what you want, you will overcome your challenges and you'll become more powerful. The end goal, by the way, the end goal is so that your soul remembers, oh, that's right, I'm infinite, I'm all powerful. This is so much fun. That's the end goal. That's enlightenment. Okay? Third step, if you want to awaken to your shamanic, spiritual warrior, light worker status, if you want to be able to get out of your tiny little narcissistic bubble of what you think is happening to you right here and right now, and look at all of the lifetimes and all of the timelines that you've got and all of the power, and think about what you want to accomplish in this life to make your soul stronger again. The third step is you got to clean out your aura. You are constantly being, again, you created this, because again, video games aren't fun if they're too easy. You created within this three-dimensional space-time virtual reality bubble, you created within it things in there that are going to try and flip you back to the misunderstanding of your relationship to the universe. You're going to be given fear. And fear could be simply, I'm not going to be loved. I'm not going to be able to make enough money. What's going to happen tomorrow? I'm not, I won't be able to do that kind of job. I won't be able, those kinds of things where you flip back into feeling like you're tiny and the universe is big and that everybody's doing it to you. So one of the ways that people have learned, and this is how you're programmed. One of the ways that people learn to deal with those uncomfortable feelings of feeling lonely, afraid, disempowered, insecure, is to use chemicals to make themselves feel better. Something as simple as, in order to wake up, people drink coffee. I don't recommend drinking coffee. It's one of the worst things you can put in your body. Caffeine, it's not just the caffeine, which is not great for you. Overstimulates the adrenal glands, and that's why you get a buzz, but then at the end of the day you're wiped out and you're tired. But also the acids in the coffee just tear away the sheath around your nervous system. That's why people are, when you have on coffee all the time. So cleaning out your aura could be as simple as stop drinking that coffee to stimulate yourself and to, and I used to, by the way, all this stuff I used to do, I used to drink coffee all the time. I used to smoke cigarettes back when I was, a kid and back, my early 20s. And what I see now, when I see, it's sad now because there used to be a time when everybody smoked. Wherever you went, you were out in public and you smoked, and that was what you did. But now people have to go outside, and it's pathetic. Isn't it? Like you're driving by some pizza place or something like that, and there's somebody out there on their 10-minute break, and they're using their 10-minute breaks to be outside and to smoke. You have to get up and go outside to smoke. But people smoke because it makes them feel like I'm somebody. I'm somebody right now. I'm doing something. That was definitely the thing back in the 60s and 70s. You were cool if you smoked because you were doing something. I remember that's what I did. It's like you don't feel good enough. You're not a good enough person, so I'm going to go do something right now. Don't bother me. I'm doing something of value right now. I'm smoking. I can't be bothered. I have to flick the ashes off of my cigarette. Or I have to hold it. If I'm a woman, I have to hold it in such a way where, I curl my fingers around like this and I play with my fingernails like this. It's just, that just really that. My mom used to smoke Lucky Strikes, which, back when my parents were growing up, they didn't have filters. So she was still smoking those non-filtered cigarettes. And she would try so hard to look so glamorous, and she would take a big hit off of it, and then she'd have like the tobacco in her mouth and she'd be all would just ruin the whole thing because she was trying to get the tobacco off of her mouth. So anyway, clean out your aura. So you got to get rid of all that. You got to get rid of all the chemicals. I know it's going to be hard, but I'm not telling you to do anything I haven't done. You want what I have, you got to do what I do. You don't have to be perfect. You can take your time, but you got to get rid of the coffee. You got to get rid of the cigarettes. Alcohol isn't accomplishing anything for you. THC isn't accomplishing anything for you. Any other mind-altering chemicals is destroying your aura. I won't talk about that in this video. I've talked about it in others. If you want to truly empower your aura to leave your body and to go to other realms, you can't do that if you have any external chemicals in your body. And if you're using power plants of any kind, teacher plants, hallucinogens, entheogens, I don't care what word you want to use. If you're using any of them, whatever experiences you're having are at best a close approximation to the real thing, and at worst, pure, unadulterated, self-generated nonsense. It's you think you're leaving your body, you think you're having an out-of-body experience. In reality, you're not. That's for most people. At best, if you, let's say you grow up in the Amazon and you're trained by a master shaman in that tradition who knows how to do the songs and knows how to do all of that, then you might have an approximation of a true shamanic experience. But the Vedics and the Taoists, thousands of years ago, came to realize that they could release DMT, although they wouldn't use that word. They could release far more DMT in the body by doing Qigong and yoga and meditation and mantra, and have real power without any side effects. Carlos Castaneda explains that in his book. After the first, he explains that the reason why Don Juan gave him peyote was to crack him open. That was it. It was just to crack him open to see that there was something beyond the physical. And then after that, he says, a warrior doesn't need that anymore. You don't use that anymore. Now, Castaneda was a fraud, and everything he wrote was complete bullshit. But he was channeling a lot of truth in those books, and that was one truth that he channeled, which was that those chemicals are not necessary anymore. The Vedics used to drink soma, which was, I believe it was a combination of ephedra and cannabis and other things like that. And they would do that to channel Indra. And that's where the Vedas came from. And then they discovered Kundalini Yoga and realized they could create far more of whatever the soma was and release it without any external chemicals. The Taoists did the same thing. They learned to isolate the pineal and the pituitary and do certain things to release that. This is one of the reasons why I recommend everybody to do the Hool breath. And I'll spell it out for you. This is the Hool breath. You can type it into YouTube and you can see the videos of me doing it. Teach you how to do that. If you want to learn how to release DMT, do the Hool breath for an hour every day for a year. I dare you. Stop doing all the chemicals, smoking, drinking, THC, whatever other nonsense garbage you're doing. Stop all of it. And start doing the Hool breath for an hour a day. And then come talk to me in a year and tell me that nothing happened. I dare you. If you can do that and prove to me that you did that, I will publicly apologize and say, yep, doesn't work. Of course, that's not going to happen. All right, so let's continue. So step number 3 is to clean out your aura. Your aura is, okay, so your physical body is the virtual reality interface for the soul in physical 3-dimensional reality. But there is also a 3-dimensional spiritual reality that your soul needs to connect to in order to have its own, because it needs to go back home, right? It needs to feed and go back home. And so it stays in the body, but it can leave or it can connect to the energy of different levels of reality. And it does this through the aura. The aura is the antenna that allows you to connect to the ancestors, to the elves, to the ascended masters, to other levels of being, to higher levels of energy and vibration that you can bring into your soul and then bring into this three-dimensional space. So let me explain to you what the goal here is. The goal here is to first and foremost awaken to your soul nature, which I've explained to you how to do that. Once you've done that, the second level is then to bring the energies and the vibrations that are outside of 3D space-time, to bring them through your soul and then express them into three-dimensional reality. That's when your soul is partying. That's like a party for the soul. Big time happening party goodness. But you can't do that if you don't first know what your soul desire is, achieve it, and then become aware of your multi-dimensionality. See the long term, the multiple lifetime thing. You have to get out of the narcissism. You'll never do that as long as you buy into the idea of any kind of conspiracy or any kind of, they're out to get me. As long as you have any of those feelings, you'll never get to that stage ever. So that's why it's good to just drop it now. Not only do you get to achieve enlightenment, which doesn't mean leaving and going somewhere else, it means bringing somewhere else here. The one thing that the Christians got right in the Lord's Prayer was, bringing heaven on earth. How does it go? Father ure dude erton heavenum sidin nama yehalyud. That's the Old English version. I prefer that one. Which is Heavenly Father, what does it go? I can't even do it in English now. Father ure, thou that art in heaven, du the ert on heavenum, sidin nama yehalyud. May your name be holy. Sidin nama yehalyud, to bekoma din riche. Become, may your kingdom become on earthum swa swa on heavenum. In three-dimensional reality as it is in multi-dimensional reality. That is actually a call to your soul. That prayer works because it's based on a shamanic understanding of the soul. My soul that originates from heaven, you are holy. May your kingdom of multi-dimensional reality be brought into my three-dimensional reality. And may I reflect three-dimensional reality or multi-dimensional reality in this three-dimensional reality. You can't get to that state if you don't do the things I've already set out before you. It may not be an easy task. It's a simple one, but it's not an easy one for some of you. Every time you buy into the victim mentality, you create another wrinkle. You create karma. You create another challenge that you have to live through if you want to keep coming back and achieve this. Bear in mind, if you can get this setup where you are in three-dimensional reality, where you're completely connected to your soul, and your soul is bringing in this multi-dimensional vibration and bringing it into three-dimensional reality, that experience is even far greater than what it's like to be out of the body. So those of you who want to leave the matrix, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. You came here for a huge big time party. You came here for the best high your soul could ever experience. Because the human body gets high off of spiritual energy. The DMT is a real thing. So people trying to release DMT with things like ayahuasca or DMT itself, they're not going to achieve it that way. But the reason why people like to smoke weed, they like to take drugs, they like to drink, they like to do all that, is because they can sense that that's where the soul wants to go. And I can tell you from experience, the high-level energy stuff is so much more stony than any drug you could ever take, and far more blissful, and with no negative side effects. In fact, it'll keep you young and healthy. I'm going to be 57 in a couple months. My body, my body doesn't know that. It hasn't figured that part out yet. It's because I spent 6.5 years being celibate, doing nothing but high level energy work and opening up the centers of my brain and releasing a bunch of DMT. I know what I'm talking about. I've experienced it. If you want what I have, you got to do what I do. So you got to clean out your aura and stop putting all the garbage in it, because it keeps you in the mindset. As much as you think it's releasing you, all you're doing is you're shoving all of your feelings down. You're draining your aura of its energy, and you're making it like sludge. You're slowing down your energy vibrations to a crawl, and you'll never get out of your victim mentality ever. So if you want to go where I'm talking about, step number 3, you got to clean out your aura. Step number 4, you have to awaken your dharma. Awaken your orlog. My ancestors called it orlog, origin law. I like that better than dharma. Dharma, even though it's a good word, it means your destiny. It's been tainted with too much new agey spiritual, love and light kind of thing, but it doesn't mean that. Orlog I like better. It means your origin law, which means your path. Each one of us has their own origin law. You have your own path that you have been programmed to do, not only for yourself, but for the world. I talk a lot about making yourself happy and following your joy. It's because most of you, 99% of you, haven't done that yet. But until you know what your joy is, you can't know what to give to the world. All of you out there who, all the people pleasers out there who are just giving up their lives to heal and help others, and you're not doing anything to make yourself happy, you're actually causing damage to the world. You don't have the first clue what your path of giving to the world is. You don't know that until you make yourself happy, clean out your aura, connect to your true orlog, and then your gift will come to you. Like a lot of times people, when they want to try the celestial qigong, which is given away for free up here in the lockdown package, by the way, high level, the highest level qigong I know of that can be done safely without being face to face with a teacher. What was I going to say about that? I forgot what I was going to say about that. Awakening your that energy work allows you to connect to the ability to know what your path here is, what you came to bring to the party. So remember, once we get through all of this garbage and we learn who we are, and we learn how to make ourselves happy, and we stop being people pleasers, we stop trying to live for other people, make other people happy, which is exactly what you're doing. Those of you who are complaining that, mommy universe doesn't love me, and those mean reptilians and those mean elites are taking it all away from you. You're basically just whining and complaining because you don't understand that you have everything that you want already within you if you choose to release it. Once you get to that point where you can have everything that you want, you can manifest it, then you'll know what your true path is. Then you'll awaken to go, oh, my job is to come here and do whatever it is. Be a musician, be a healer, be a light worker, be a shaman, be a spiritual warrior, be an activist. I don't care what it is, but that's your job. You've been taught it backwards. You're not supposed to do your job and then God will bless you. No, you're supposed to make yourself happy first. Then you'll know what your job is. Then the party happens. So the party for the soul, again, is once you've come to that place and gotten to who you are, and you've experienced now your physical joy, then you use your aura to connect to the multidimensional realities, and you bring that energy through you, and then you bring that energy into three-dimensional reality, and then the party happens. That's when you know what your true path is, what your true your true gift. When I was going to say earlier, lots of people, when they want to learn celestial qigong, they want to know, I want to know exactly what I'm going to get from this. And I go, I don't know. I don't know what your spiritual gifts are. Go figure it out. Go do it. Go do the Hool breath for a year and then come back and talk to me. And then you can tell me. I don't know. It's not for me to figure out. It's for you to figure out. All right, so that's number 4, which is awaken your orlog. And you do that through the energy work. You do that through the meditations, through the mantras. If you're just coming onto my channel because you want to intellectually listen to me talk about spirituality and stuff, I'm happy that you're here, but you're wasting your time. The whole point of all this talk is for you to do the work. And if you don't want to pay for any of the stuff here that I've got the links for, then do the qigong, go on the playlists and do the qigong on there. Do the mantra. Put some time and effort. You don't want to pay me money? Fine. Then spend a few minutes of your time searching my channel. You don't know how to do that? Figure it out. If you don't want to do that, then I can tell you exactly from step 1 to step Z. If you want me to tell you from step A to step Z exactly how to accomplish it, then go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe just at the entry level and follow the shamanism mastery course. And if you do everything that's in there, trust me, you won't be able to get through all of it in one lifetime. I guarantee you. No way. It's not possible. I couldn't. I teach you a bunch of different things. Some things I've dabbled in and I've got some mastery in, and some things I've really focused on. But you'll have a smorgasbord of things to pick from, and if you just pick one of them, like I said, the Hool breath. If you do the Hool breath for an hour a day for the rest of your life, or if you really want to become super powerful, try it for 2 or 3 hours a day for the rest of your life. Everything will, it'll all happen, but you've got to put the work into it. You're not willing to put the work into it, I can't help you. So that's number 4, awaken your orlog by doing the energy work. So we can get through 5 through 9, but I'd rather stop at this point and see if there are any questions. This can be a question and answer. The way it works is if you have a question, you write the word question, and then you ask me a well thought out question with a subject and an object and a verb. And if it's an honest question, I'll answer it. But be prepared. I have a gift as well, and my gift is I can tell what it is you really want by you talking. I can see through what your unconscious is trying to do, and I'm going to point it out to you. And some people don't like that, but those are usually the people that aren't doing the work. Anyway, so I'm just letting you know. The best thing to do is to ask an honest question, and you'll get a good answer from me. All right, so Jason Guerrero question. According to my chart, so if you want a Vedic astrological chart, you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. You can also go to the lockdown package and get some astrological information. Not get the whole astrology reading, but some of it. Jason Guerrero question. According to my chart, Rahu is the god I am meant to talk to on a daily basis to help me reach success. So what Jason is talking about is in the readings I give you access to the 3 planets who represent the 3 minds. You have the conscious mind, the unconscious, and then the subconscious. Most people confuse the subconscious with the unconscious, but they're different. And what he's talking about is the planet that is associated with his conscious mind, which is the planet that's called the Ishta Devata. It means the planet that has chosen you. It means that you don't have to do any rituals to get that planet's blessing. You can talk to it like it's sitting next to you. And each planet has deities associated with it. So if you know which deities are associated with each planet, for instance, Loki is associated with Rahu. So Jason could talk to Rahu on a daily basis. Could talk to Loki on a daily basis. And when you talk to your Ishta, you say, help me find a parking space. I'm having a hard time with this person down the street. My girlfriend's not doing this. And what should I do with my life? And I need some help. Show me what I should do next. And just talk to, it's your connection to all of the gods. Because most of the time, gods and planets need you to do ritual and sacrifice and all kinds of, shamanic things like that to get them to turn and notice you and then work with you, because they work with different parts of your mind. So it says, according to my chart, Rahu is the god I'm meant to talk to on a daily basis to help me reach success. How can I learn to hear a clear response? Strong guidance would feel supportive right now. So Jason, who said that that's how you have to hear it? That's not how it works. I'm not against that, but that's, again, deities, gods, spirits, they live outside of three-dimensional space-time. Your intellect, which you think, which is what I'm using right now to communicate with you. If we were sitting talking to each other or writing out, we use our intellect. Our intellect is stuck in three-dimensional space-time. So you wanting to have Rahu talk to you verbally, it's like you're trying to, take Rahu's billion arms and tie them all up, because it's like Rahu's like, no, I'm a multi-dimensional being. I'm not here to just talk to you like that. So the way that your Ishta Devata is going to work with you is that you talk to it and you tell it what you want. You share all of your challenges, your fears, your pain, especially with Rahu. With Rahu, you can't have any false pride. You can't pretend to be something that you're not. You got to be completely open and honest. Your worst nightmares, your most immoral fantasies, you share that with Rahu. You say, I really want to that person and to those people, and I'm really wanting to do this, and I feel bad about it. And Rahu's probably going to say, why are you judging your own desires? Go make it happen. Or, yeah, you want that because you think that's going to give you this, but in reality. But Rahu's not going to talk to you necessarily verbally. What you do is you talk to Rahu or Loki or whoever it is, and you watch what sort of falls into your path. And you don't put expectations. You don't tell them how to communicate with you, because they're not trapped in three-dimensional space-time. They know what you need. You trying to tell Rahu what to do and how to do it, he's like, dude, I know what I'm doing. Just let me do my job. And he's going to work with you in ways. So you look for signs, watch, your life will start to go in a certain path. Things will come in front of you. Challenges will come up. Feelings will come up. That's how Rahu's going to work with you. So stop trying to tell him how to do his job. Your job is to just communicate and then let things happen. And just keep your eyes open. What I say when I give the reading, and I'm pretty sure I said this to you, was just talk to your Ishta Devata, pray to it on a daily basis, and then watch what happens. I'm pretty sure I said that. I say that almost every time. So I'm sorry that you feel like you need support right now, but that's your experience coming from your fear. Just accept the reality. You don't have to feel it or see it. Just accept the reality that you are infinite. And all you have to do is make the decision to follow your joy and your orlog, and it will find you. Your challenges that come up are the video game challenges, right? Now, when you play a video game, you know the challenges are going to come, so you're waiting for it. But in life, we want everything to be easy without any problems. So when the challenges come up, we go, and what you should be doing is, there's a challenge. Because in a video game, if you overcome the challenge, you get a special gift. You get a diamond or a ruby or a key or something. The same is true in here. When a challenge comes up and you overcome the challenge, you get a key to move on to the next thing. So you go, the challenge. Now, your unconscious mind, where all of your resistance comes from, your internal resistance to your highest success, comes from your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind does not give you a postcard and say, hey, I'm your unconscious mind. I am here to stop you from achieving your greatest success. I'm here to challenge you so that you'll overcome your fears and your misunderstandings about life. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to try and talk you into doing this, and it'll sound really reasonable, but in reality, I'm just trying to fool you. No deceiver ever does that. Your unconscious mind will come to you in ways that make sense and sound logical. So the way that you prove your understanding or your faith is you go back and you go, what is it that I really want? Oh, that's right. I want to spend my life surfing. Okay, that's what I'm going to go do. And then you go do what you know you're supposed to do, regardless of what comes up against you. I got myself here. I live in, for me, the perfect place in the world. I'm living in Queensland, Australia, which, where I'm at, it's semi-tropical. There's rainforest all around me. There's empty beaches, blue water, no sharks. I mean, people are really nice. The happiest dogs and babies I've ever seen. Beautiful girls walking up and down the beach that'll stop and talk to you. I mean, I'm just in heaven. And the best waves, empty. I knew that that's what I wanted, and I went and did it. And there was all kinds of things in my external life telling me that I couldn't do it. I did it anyway. Do that. And then watch what happens. Let's see what else. Again, I'm really looking for the questions. I'm happy that people are doing better. There's somebody there. Let's see. Bryce Gertson question. What is your opinion on the blank rune that has recently been added to rune readings? I mean, look, the runes are, in my experience, they work in all different, rune cards, rune staves, rune rocks. However you want to work with runes, you want to use them, you want to chant them, you want to meditate on them, you want to carve them, you want to do them for, they'll work in whatever way you want. I have no problem with the idea that a blank rune could work. I don't use them because that's not what our ancestors did. And if you follow, if Bryce, I don't know if you've read any of my rune books, more than likely you haven't, and you're running the risk of offending me because you're on here talking about runes, but it's very likely you have not read my rune books. If you've read my rune books, you will see what's called a rune wheel. Or if you've taken any of my rune courses or even watched videos about the runes on this channel, you will have seen, where is it? The rune wheel. You will have seen this, which you can see if I add an extra rune here, it's not going to fit. This is an Ayeshyalmer, but it's representing the 9 worlds. So the one in the center is where we live, which is Middle Earth or Middle Yard, the Middle Fortress. And then each of the branches going out in all of the 8 directions are the other 8 worlds. And you can see there are 3 8s which correspond with each one of the worlds. And a blank rune doesn't fit in that. So for me, it doesn't work. I don't say that it wouldn't work for somebody else, but why? If it works, don't fix it. So Bryce, now that you have, again, if you ask a question, I'm going to know what's going on. You haven't watched enough of my videos or got my books or got my rune courses, because you most likely wouldn't ask that if you had done that. All right, let's see what else. Grey Wolf question. Hello, Thunder Wizard. I've been trying the Hool breath. My question is, even if I'm not perfect with the exhaling from the mouth and the nose at the same time, will I get some positive benefits? Yeah, but I don't know why that's so challenging for you. If you follow the instructions precisely as I give them, you should be able to do it. I mean, the trick is you don't breathe out. You breathe out you're almost holding your breath. You're just letting enough air escape. So it'll come out the nose and the mouth. If you're breathing out too much, it won't work. Just relax and let it do its thing. Any questions? So Aruna Arnakelam, if you have a question, write the word question, because if you don't, then I may miss it. As you saw, I just scrolled through a bunch of comments because I don't read comments. I only read the questions. And so if you don't write the word question, I'll miss it. That's why I had people write question, because I end up scrolling through things that I don't want to do. I just want to teach here. I just want to answer your questions. So, is it possible to lose? You mean lose, L-O-S-E, not L-O-O-S-E. I'm a stickler for spelling, and that's the wrong word for that. Is it possible to lose whatever advancement you have made spiritually? Sometimes you do not feel anything is happening anymore. You mean you don't feel. So you mean to say I. You mean sometimes I do not feel anything is happening anymore. I don't know what that means. What I get from that question is that you're, forgive me for saying so, you're pretty disconnected from yourself. What is the fear of losing advancement? Where is that coming from? There's a lot of guilt in there. There's shame in there. I would recommend, Aruna, that you'd be better off with a teacher. So get a spiritual teacher, somebody that you can work with on a regular basis, who can help you to reflect back to you who you and what you are. The thing about the spiritual path is that we can't do it alone, especially if we're really far back in the pack. If you haven't been working, you can't learn Kung Fu by yourself. You can't learn Jiu-Jitsu by yourself. You can't learn brain surgery by yourself. You can't learn electrician, how to become an electrician or a plumber by yourself. You can't gain spiritual strength and knowledge by yourself. You need a teacher. You need a teacher. Because I can tell from that question, you forgive me, but it sounds like you just don't have the first clue about who you are and what your power is and how to make it happen. So my recommendation to you is start with the Hool breath and then go onto my channel. You could go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe at the lowest level and follow that from beginning to end. Because this idea of losing advancement is just there's so much guilt and shame associated with that. That tells me that you're really disconnected from yourself. Okay? So I'm happy to work with you if I've got space. So this is what apprentices are all about. They work with me on a regular basis so that I can help them figure out how they can find their path. And then once it's like helping a kid I'm not trying to be condescending, but it's like that. If a kid is riding a two-wheeled bicycle without training wheels for the first time, mom or dad has to sort of be behind and push them. And then once they get going, they can let go. And that's what teachers do. Teachers get you sort of pushed in the right direction, and then once you're on your own steam, they let you go. A good teacher, anyway. Widow of Steel, question, do you have any advice for paralyzing dreams? You want me to give you advice on how to have one? No, what you're asking me is how to not have sleep paralysis. Listen, it's not a big deal. The reason why you're experiencing sleep paralysis is because when you fall asleep and you start to dream, you have hardwired in your body that your muscles get disconnected from what's going on in your brain, so that you can feel like you're running down the street or you're walking here or doing that, and you don't actually get up and walk and fall off a cliff or walk through a window, because it'll kill you. And what happens is, if you have a nightmare, what's happening is you're trying to wake yourself up, and as you're waking up, you're dreaming and you're awake at the same time, and your body is going through sleep paralysis, which is a normal thing. There's nothing, but because you're having a nightmare, you feel like a demon is sitting on your chest, or you feel that you're being choked, or you wake up and you see some monster coming at you that's doing whatever it does. But all that's happening is you're having a nightmare and you're waking up and your brain is is as it's dreaming, trying to figure out what's happening, and it's creating some monster that's choking you or sitting on you or something like that. Or you see something in the room, some shadow being. It's all that is. Let's not find, this is not an unusual question, because I had those kinds of dreams for a long period of time. The second thing I want to tell you is you've got to do energy work, because it means that on an unconscious level, you have a lot of unresolved fear. You have a lot of unresolved feelings that are coming out in dreams and nightmares, and that's all that it is. The thing that helped me, and by the way, this still happens to me every now and then. I can't remember the last one I had, but last year I had one and I almost broke my toe because I woke up kicking the wall because I was dreaming that snakes were climbing up my legs. And I woke up trying to scream and kicking the wall, and I freaking almost broke my toe. But it's just a normal thing that happens, and it just meant that I was, I had just come here, and I was going through a lot of things in my life. My partner had just died, a year earlier, and I was still working through that, and I was having a lot of pain and a lot of issues, and it came out in some bad dreams. So one of the things that helps me is to do energy work. So I do Qigong. Qigong empowers your aura. It gives you a feeling of invincibility. It gives you a feeling of spiritual power, and it does give you spiritual power, which will then alleviate the fear in your mind, which will then alleviate the dreams. I don't know you well enough to know what else is going on, but you asked for my advice. Without knowing any more, though, that's the reason why you couldn't talk when you woke up, is because it's natural. She says, I had a paralyzing dream and I couldn't talk when I woke up. It was horrifying. Yeah, that's because, again, when you were dreaming, if you're, as you're walking down the street or picking up the hammer, or, if you're fighting something, or if you're running, if you're doing that, you'll actually get up and sleepwalk and run and crash through a window. So all of the muscles, including your vocal cords, you don't have access to them, and so it feels like you're going. That's all it is. That's all it is. Just a normal thing. It just means that you've got unresolved issues. Work through your unresolved issues, and you won't have those nightmares which you wake up from. That's it. Jason Guerrero question: as soon as I focused on my path, I attracted a physical connection with a woman. How can I determine if this relationship is aligned with my soul path, or if it is unconscious sabotage? Are you having a good time? Does she treat you well? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, even on my stage of development, whatever it was, 9 months ago, I got involved with somebody who was mentally ill. And it was horrific. And here I am. That happened to me. So the only thing I can tell you is the same thing I would tell myself. You just go and enjoy yourself. And if the person is harmful to you, you get out. Don't try and make your partner responsible for your spiritual path. A lot of people think, I have to be with somebody who does the same stuff that I do or understands what I do. My fiance, who now passed away, who was without a doubt, if there was such a thing as a twin flame, she's the closest thing to it. She didn't really understand what I did, and she didn't really care. And I didn't care that she didn't care. She was good to me. She loved me and supported me and thought I was amazing and made me feel really good about myself and told me how smart I was and how successful I was. And she got turned on if I was sitting there talking to a client. She'd really turn her on that I was doing my thing. She didn't really understand it. Not all of it anyway. But she supported me and we loved each other. And so who cares? You attracted somebody, just enjoy it. You'll find out. You'll find out pretty quick. If you're unhappy and life gets worse, and if she's mean to you, then you move on to the next one. Don't make too much. Don't Stop trying so hard. The thing is that relationships do represent your, let me put it this way. If it is unconscious sabotage, then you have manifested something that will bring to your awareness. For instance, me, I was dating somebody who actually had a mental illness. Very toxic person. And so much so that I have a whole other channel devoted to how to recover from those kinds of relationships. But coming out of it, I realized I still had some unresolved mommy issues way deep down in my unconscious, which I've now worked on. And I also got to work through all of the residual pain left over from the passing of my partner, which now I don't think I'm going to project onto somebody else. I was projecting onto her. So even if it is your unconscious sabotage, it just means that you'll learn from it. Okay? That's life. Life is a bunch of learning. Becky Oliver, Q, which means question, I suppose. I have a block seeing what my true purpose is because I keep getting caught up trusting how to pay bills. It's difficult for me to walk the middle line, let them both happen. Any insight on this? Yes. Becky, why have you not read my book? The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Let me write it out for you. Why have you not watched the videos on that? Why have you not watched the how to find your perfect career video series, which is included free in the lockdown package? Why have you not watched more of my videos? Because that's what I see in that question. Because you have a misunderstanding of what's going on. Your true purpose is not the same as your soul desire. So your true purpose is what you're supposed to do to give back to the world. You will not know what you're supposed to do to give back to the world until you know what it is that you want. What gives you joy? What is your equivalent of surfing? Let me be clear. I live a very impractical life. I live a very selfish, impractical life. My entire life is completely devoted to my selfish happiness, which is to live in my perfect fantasy place and surf. There's no money in surfing. It costs money every time I go. I just bought a new surfboard. I have to go and get a massage afterwards, which is, $100. It costs me $100 to go surfing every time I do it. And I only work as little as I have to pay the bills so that I can spend all my time surfing. I'm totally selfish. That's not my purpose. I'm fulfilling my purpose right now. But you're not going to find out what your purpose is until you know what you want. The fact that you said caught up trusting how to pay bills because you don't understand your relationship to the universe. Because you think that you are this tiny little being in this huge universe, that God is doing this and doing that to you. You are trying to please your parents, who most likely told you if you want to be successful in this world, you have to be practical and you have to have a good job, and then you can go do the things that you want. You've got everything completely ass backwards. You have and I'm using the word you, but you are everybody. I am you also. This is also true about me. On an unconscious level, you don't believe you deserve to have money. And so that's why you keep worrying about how to pay the bills. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. Do whatever it is you have to do to find out what your joy is. If you don't know what that is, you're not alone. A lot of people, when I ask them, what is your joy? They say, I don't know. And if you don't know, it's because you have an unconscious conflict. Unconscious. You're not aware of it. It means on an unconscious level, you are fighting between your soul, which is telling you to go be a ballerina or whatever, and your voice in your head, which is your parents, who are telling you, no, that's not practical. You don't deserve to do that. You need to become whatever. And so you're in conflict with yourself. And so you keep manifesting this conflict in a lack of money because you can't pay the bills. I'm telling you, find out what it is that you want and then go after it no matter how much it costs, and be willing to not pay a few bills. Be willing to go and go into debt. I'm not telling you to go into debt. I'm just saying, but if you have a choice between, I know my thing I want to do is over there and it may cost me some money to go do it, go spend the money and go do it. Then the universe will start throwing money at you. Your purpose, that word purpose sounds like, your job. You probably think your career. And so you're thinking about, what career can I do to make money? And that's backwards. Your job in this life is to go have as much fun as you can. And then you'll figure out how to make money doing that. So I'm going to say the same thing to you. You're on the verge of offending me because you obviously haven't read my books, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. You obviously haven't gotten the video course, How to Find Your Perfect Career, which is in the lockdown package. You obviously haven't spent time, doing what I teach. If you do what I do, you will get what I get, which means you have to follow all of my directions to the letter. Sorry about it, but that's the way it is. And every student, I mean it, every single student of mine that has followed all of my directions, usually people who are my apprentice, if they follow all of my directions to the letter consistently, they will all tell you that their lives have changed. Some of them will tell you that they've gone through a lot of challenges. Some of them are in the midst of their challenges, but every single one of them have had their lives changed. One guy was one of my astrology apprentices, and he followed we've been working together for, I think, a couple of years now. He said to me, listen, I got to stop doing the astrology because now, I've got all of these people asking me to make music, and I want to be a musician. And now his YouTube channel is blowing up, and now he knows, he's finally able to do what he really wants to do, which is to make music. But he followed my directions. So to answer your question, you've got to do the work. You got to know what it is. And I can tell by the question you don't know what it is. Maybe you've read the book or not or whatever, but maybe you need to work with me. By the way, lockdown package, I give you 3 opportunities to make a career. I'm not guaranteeing you'll be successful at it. Who knows? But one is you can become a certified astrologer doing my work, and there are people that I have underneath me that do that. I can make a living doing that if I choose to do that. I'm not focused on that right now, but that's one thing. The other one is become a rune reader. I made a living for a long time being a phone psychic, and I used runes to do it. And I paid my bills, and then I started making more money, and I stopped doing that. And then the third one is, which is what I do now, among other things, is you can be a life coach and help people figure out what their soul desire is and how they can find their perfect career. You can find all that in the lockdown package. But if you just want to get go to courses.thunderwizard.com and get the how to create your perfect career. If you follow those directions to the letter, you won't be asking these kinds of questions. Or you can get a session with me if you want, a career consultation. But anyway, your question tells me that you, as I said, that you're little, that you need some more education on what all that stuff means. And so I've told you how to do that. Anyway, let's see here. Jockman, write the word question. You're new to the channel. What do I think about telepathy? How am I supposed to answer that question? First thing I want to tell you is, Jockman, the best way to get out of my channel is to actually ask questions about what I'm teaching. Don't just come in here with some random question because I had nothing better to do and I'm sitting in front of oh, there's a live YouTube stream. Oh, this is a spiritual thing. What do you think about crystals? Am I talking about crystals? Am I talking about telepathy? So ask me questions that I teach. And if you don't know what I teach, then be quiet, listen so you can hear what I'm teaching. And if it's something that is attractive to you, then follow, the other videos, and then you'll have something to ask. Asking me what do I think about telepathy is such a general. I can tell it's just kind of like you're bored. You're just kind of bored and just asking. There's not really anything behind that question. So I invite you to spend more time on the channel, see what it is that I teach, and then you can ask a deeper question that I will be motivated to answer. Brian Gertson question, do you ever make offerings to the gods, and if so, what methods do you use? Bryce, you're on the verge of offending me also. If you have gotten a Vedic astrological reading from me, you'll know what kind of offerings to give, and to learn exactly what offerings the gods that you need to work with, what kind of offerings they need. I also teach you how to, in many places in my channel, I teach how to do a ritual to the elves. So search my channel for the elf ritual, and then you'll know. So again, put the time and effort to watch the videos, guys. Coming onto the channel and listening to me talk is great, but let me make the speech now. If you don't know how to do it, figure out how to search within somebody's channel. And on the desktop here, if you go to somebody's YouTube channel page. So you go to thunderwizard.com, the channel page. And then on the menu after, I think, about, there's a little magnifying glass. Click on that. Another search bar will come up. You can type in whatever search words you want to hear me talk about how to do it. Right? So go and do that. If whatever it is on a phone or a tablet or iPad or something, figure that out. But make use of that. There's how many videos on here? Put the time and effort to search my channel to find what you need. Jareth Sacred Hearts question, I had the same dream of two snakes attacking my legs in January. Do you think this is a connected soul's dream? No. Jareth Sacred Hearts question, do you believe the rainbow serpent prophecy is part of the poisons and transformation happening in the world today? I don't know. Again, you got to ask me about what I teach. I don't teach any of that stuff, so I can't talk about something I don't know anything about. What else? Grey Wolf question, what is the name of your channel that talks about toxic relationships that you referred to not long ago? It is, I don't even know, it's a really long name. I didn't even expect it to go anywhere. I was just making videos because I needed to hear myself talk to get through it. And let's see, what is it called? Surviving, here it is. Let me just copy and paste. All right. So the other channel is this. Surviving BPD relationship breakup. It means borderline personality disorder breakup. I attracted an undiagnosed, untreated person with severe borderline personality disorder. It was no fun. I don't recommend it. Widow Steel question. Oh, that's you guys are asking the same question. JD Grateful question, what if my life passion is so many things I can't narrow it down? It doesn't work like that. You're distracting yourself. I have a bunch of other things that I like doing, but there's going to be one thing. It's going to be one thing that really speaks to your soul. So let me take you through it. Again, for most people, you're not going to be able to figure it out unless you work through the proper steps. And that's because of all of the garbage and the static in our brains and the way that we've been taught how to function and all of that. So it's normal to not know. But let me take you through very quickly. First, let me just say the quickest way to figure it out is to go to the lockdown package, and then free. The lockdown package, by the way, I give you $3,214 worth of stuff. All of my spiritual teachings and certifications I give away for free. The only thing that you're paying for are some services that have to be done live. I'm pointing to my iPad. That have to be done live on Skype, and you're paying for my time for those. Other than that, you're getting $3,214 worth all of my stuff and giving it away. Among that is an entire video course on how to find your perfect career. But I also have the book, the shamanic secret commandment to the perfect life. So get that, read that, watch all the videos on it. Okay, it's all the information is there for you, but you guys have to go and get it. I can't force you to do that. When you know how to ask yourself the right questions, you won't be confused about there's too many things. When you go to a restaurant and you're looking at a menu, you decide what you want to eat because you can only eat one thing at a time. So you may have a bunch of different things that you like to do, but you can only do one of them at a time, right? So this means that you're conflicted on some level, and you can't tell what your true soul desire is. So here are the three questions. First question is, what we do is we go to a non-existent place that doesn't exist called Fantasyland. And I take you through an exercise to help your imagination grow stronger. So the first part is we're going to figure out something that you won't be able to do because it's not realistic. So we're just going to have fun. So forget about trying to make this part of your life. Okay? Don't try and figure out where it's going to go. So the first thing is we go to this place called Fantasyland, and in Fantasyland there are some rules. Again, this is a place that doesn't exist. In Fantasyland, you don't have to make money to survive. You don't need a job and you don't need money. Whatever it is you want, you need a house, you need a car, it just magically appears for you, and it's everything that you want. And you don't try and get stuff you don't need there because you're comfortable just getting what it is that makes you happy. So you just, whatever it is you need just magically pops up. If it's a gingerbread house or if it's a 20-room, mansion, whichever it is. So you don't have to work, you don't need money. Second thing is, you don't have to please anybody. So you don't have to meet anybody else's expectations. You don't have to meet your parents' expectations. You don't have to meet the government, the school, your religion, your neighbor, even you. You don't have to meet your own expectations. You don't have to meet anybody's expectations. So if you don't want to ever have to work, you don't ever have to work. You can sit around and eat bonbons all day if that's what you want. So you don't have to make any money and you don't have to please anybody. Third thing is you can be anything you want. So the rules of reality don't exist. If you want to be 20 feet tall and have wings and purple, 3 eyeballs made out of jujubes, you can be whatever the heck you want. And then the fourth one is you're only allowed to do the thing that makes you really, really happy, even no matter how silly, impractical, stupid, wrong, immoral. Okay? All of us have those secret desires that we want. So this is where we go. We go to Fantasyland and I ask you the question. I say, if you didn't have to make money and you didn't have to meet anybody's expectations and you could be absolutely anything, no matter how impossible or impractical, and you only could do the thing that made you selfishly, seriously, deliriously happy, what is that one thing, even if you know you could never do it? Whatever that is. Now, there's 3 worlds that you can choose to live in. You can choose to live in the real world. And the real world is where my parents lived and they taught me how to live. And that was like, you have to have a job and you have to work your ass off. My dad, when I wanted to be an actor, said, well, you should have a backup plan because actors don't make a lot of money. And, so you should probably get a degree in something or other. You should have a plan B. And, you can't just be having fun all day. Everybody's got to work and you got to... That's the real world. And then there's Fantasyland, which I just told you about, which is unrealistic because it's just, it's not real. And then there's this place called Compromise Land. Now, Compromise Land is where everybody's going, and I am almost 100% certain that J.D. Grateful is trying his or her best, I think that's her, to live in Compromise Land. In Compromise Land, you hear me talking about living your dreams and that you can turn your fantasies into big money and have all the money that you need. And you go, that's what I want. And so you start thinking, what can I do for, let's see, I could tolerate doing that. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that, but maybe if I did that, then I could have some spare time. And then my spare time, I might have some money to, and then maybe I could work my, if I had enough money in that, that's compromised land. Compromised land is just a suburb of the real world. You think you're living in fantasy land, but you think you're living in a realistic fantasy land, but it's not. It's the real world. Well, I think I could make a living doing that. That's where you're trying to live, JD Grateful. You're trying to live in compromised land. I have so many passions that I don't, which one? You're still trying to live in the real world. That's why you can't figure out what you want. So, I recommend watching my videos on that and or getting the, go to courses.thunderwizard.com. All these links are here for a reason. I leave them there just, neon flashing at you for a reason. Go check them out. All right, so that's how do I know what to focus on? You're going to have to do some work. So I recommend either getting the lockdown package and doing that, or watching my videos on it, get my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, or find the videos, do the work to find the videos where I teach you how to do it. Okay? All right. By the way, thunderwizard.com, there is the Shamanic Mastery course, which you can get for $25 a month. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe after the first month. What does it cost you? Seriously, $25? Then there is the Manifestation Mastery course, which gives you access to all of the shamanism videos and all of the videos on how to become a master manifester, how to manifest your dreams. When you have learned how to manifest, when you've learned how to to master the matrix, all that stuff I've got, all those videos I got about mastering the matrix. When you've mastered that, here's how it works. This is all I have to do. And I'm not kidding. This is the truth. All I have to do is go through the same process everybody else does. And I ask myself, what is it that I really want? What is my joy? Because I'm constantly refining my soul desire. Sometimes I go, nope, I got everything. And you got to be honest. Do you have everything? A lot of the time I can say, yep, I got absolutely, I can't think of anything else I want. Like I can't think of any place else in the world that I'd rather live. I know for a fact there are places I don't want to live. But I literally can't think of another place. It's like if somebody said, if you could pick let me ask you guys, if you could just snap your fingers and live anywhere in the world, where would you live? How many of you are going to say right where you are? Most of you aren't. I can honestly say I'm living right where I want to live. Everything. I wouldn't change anything. I mean, the changes I could make would be so minor that they're just not even worth it. So when you get to the place where you master manifestation, all you do is you pinpoint and you bring to your consciousness what it is you truly want, and then it happens. My fiance who passed, she said to me one day, she said, "You're not human." I said, "What the hell are you talking about? Of course I'm human." She said, "No, you're not human." She said, we were out having lunch. She said, 2 weeks ago we were sitting here having lunch at this restaurant, and you were complaining about all the things that were wrong, and you sat there and you complained about it, and then you said, okay, wait, I have to figure out what I want, and then you took a couple of seconds and you thought about it, and you said, what I want is, and then you spelled out all the things that you wanted in your life, which you didn't have, that were impossible to get, and then you said, okay, and then you dropped it, and then we went on, and now 2 weeks later you have exactly what you said you wanted. And she said, that doesn't happen for normal people. And I thought about it, and it was, she's one of the reasons I'm able to teach it, because I realized, oh, she's right. It had become second nature to me that when I'm uncomfortable, I just figure out what I want. And if I can feel, and then I know that that's really what I want. Okay, I figured it out. Okay. Once I figure it out, I know that I just intuitively know that everything's going to work out the way I want it to. I didn't realize that. I hadn't intellectualized it. She helped me to intellectualize it, which is why I'm able to teach you guys. When you get to that point where you've mastered manifestation, that's how it works. Now, there are still times that I have to then take action on things. And sometimes those things are frightening and scary and all of that, but so what? My experiences showed me that as long as I know what I want, if I go after it, I always have it. And if I'm true to myself, I mean, I swear to God, if I'm true to myself, I swear to you, time starts going backwards. You know, I'm physically stronger than I've ever been in my whole life. I've never felt this healthy in my whole life. I have to say it, but I look at women my age most of the time, and they look like my grandmother. I look at men my age lots of times, same kind of thing. It's like, what the hell happened to you? I think the real thing is knowing what it is that you want and going after it. I think it's that simple. When you do that, your soul aligns to the infinite energy of this space-time bubble, and you get all the energy your body needs. The last time I got tested for, blood test, which was again probably 5 or 6 years ago, and I was not even as far on the path as I am now. It came back like unbelievable. Like you've got the numbers of a 25-year-old. I think that's the answer. The answer is to know your joy and to follow it. Relieves all of the stress. I think that's what disease is. Disease is you are in conflict with your soul. And that conflict creates self-hatred and shame, which gets lodged in your body and creates different diseases. I have yet to be proven wrong, knock on wood. We'll see what happens. But so far, that's what's working for me. Jason Guerrero, question. What should I do celestial Qigong in the same direction as my mantra ritual? No, don't worry about it. Don't overthink it. You can do Qigong in whatever direction you want. Don't worry about it. Just do it in whatever direction you want. Don't overthink that. Let's see. Dean Nevins. Wanderer says, Thunder Wizard needs an FAQ answered section. Dean Nevins, question. Is there a difference in energy between doing a ritual on a new moon versus a full moon? Yes. I hadn't thought it through exactly what that is, but I would have to say there definitely is a difference. But I've done both. I think they're both really powerful times. And it's usually, if we're talking about a full moon, it's the day before. It's not the day of the full moon, it's the day before the full moon. That's when the moon is super strong because it's just getting to the top. But once it gets to the top, it starts losing steam. Same thing with the new moon. You're going for complete emptiness the day before. Once you hit the new moon, it's the day of the new moon. It's starting to go back up in the sky again. So do it the day before, and you'll get the most out of it. If you really want to transform yourself and go to emptiness and get rid of stuff, start it on a new moon. If you want to, get the most out of something that's already really powerful, I would do the full moon. Though I'm not saying that this is the way it has to be done. They'll both work because they're both powerful times. But if it were me and I were thinking about it, I would say, okay, I want to release some negative energy. I'm going to do that on a new moon. I want to get even stronger and become Mr. Olympia. I'm going to do a thing on the full moon. Got me? Okay, JD, grateful question. Thanks for the reply. You are right. I want to buy the lockdown. May I message you? I don't understand. If you get the lockdown package, what's going to happen is that you will get access to me directly. So you'll be able to message me. People who subscribe on the Thunder Wizard channel also can message me. I try to not have just your average YouTube person have access to me, because if they did, and there are people still doing it, my inbox would be filled. So, people want to message me. That's kind of, you kind of have to buy your ticket to get on the ride. Sorry about that. So if you have a question about it, you can ask me any question about products or services here on the channel. Or on the YouTube comments section. I'll answer any questions about any product or service there, or in the live Q&A. So if you have a question you need to ask me about, ask me now. I'll be happy to answer it. If it's that you want to have a significant one-on-one interaction, then once you have purchased that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have and That's what you're paying me for, to help you. All right? So sorry about that. Let's see. Sebastian Jaime Mena question. I am moving to the beach like you to kite surf. That gives me joy. How I relax and trust about how. Let me just ask you guys, write full questions, even if you need to, put a second thing in. Writing a full question with a verb and an object and all that. It's one way of showing me respect. It's kind of disrespectful for me to try and figure out you're not writing a full question. But it also gives you respect. You're asking me a question because there's something you really want to know. So give yourself the full honor. If you need to write two, because you only have so many characters you can do, write out two things. Write out a full question. So you're asking me, how do I relax and trust about money coming? You just answered the question. You just do it. What you're really wanting to ask me is, how do I get over the discomfort? And it's just a feeling. Bear in mind, if you follow the path that I'm teaching, what's going to happen is when you go after what you truly want, you will, depending on your karma and your childhood issues, your resistance will come up, which will include feeling uncomfortable, feeling frightened, feeling unworthy, wanting to blow your brains out, wanting to quit. They're just feelings. Again, my ancestors said, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. Imagine a guy about to go to war, like walk out on the battlefield, and imagine him saying, hey, I'm going to wait until I'm not so scared, because that guy, there's a big guy over there and he's got he looks really mean. There's all kinds of blood on his face. He's probably killed a bunch of people. And he scares me, and so I don't want to go into battle. I mean, your commander will kill you right on the spot. That's why the Romans only had armor in the front, because if you turn and ran away, the guy next to you will stab you in the back because you might get him killed. So you're gonna be afraid. You're gonna have insecurity and fear and nervousness. Just accept that. In fact, when the uncomfortable feelings come up, go, I must be doing something right. I've just bumped into some necessary resistance. It has to happen. So to answer your question, how do you do it? Just do it. And who cares if you're afraid or not? I mean, there are things that I do all the time that I'm afraid. I'm deathly afraid of doing it. And I do it anyway. I've just learned the only thing that matters is taking the action. How I feel about it is totally irrelevant. All right. Let's see what else. Yeet Ma Yeet, welcome to the channel. Again, ask me questions about what I'm teaching. Do you see anything on here about the Anunnaki? I have one video about the Anunnaki. Go and search for it on my channel. JD Grateful question, can I pay the lockdown price in 2 installments? Yes, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to save up. So if it's going to take you 2 months, then you're going to save up for 2 months instead of trying to pay me a month at a time. I don't do installment plans. I'm not a bank. So sorry, I can't do that. But you can save up. If it's going to take you 2 weeks and you want to pay, you would have paid me over 2 weeks, then save up for 2 weeks. If it's going to take you 2 months, save up for 2 months. If you need to borrow money, go borrow money from somebody. You're investing in yourself. But no, I don't do installments. That's why you wanted to message me. You see, that's why I don't let people message me, because then they ask me those kinds of questions. You got it. So nope, I believe you. I believe that if you want it, you'll find a way. I know that whenever I want something, I always find a way. All right. Jockman question, why do you think people chose money over their own, THEIR? Their own. I think it's a good idea to learn how to spell or to put the time and effort to spell. Why do you think people chose money over their own spiritual well-being? Why don't you ask yourself that question? Because you're really asking about yourself. Are we just sort of two masters who are looking at each other and we're talking about how those people over there screwed up and why they did it? Are you asking me an honest question about you? Asking me a question about why they screwed up is passive aggressive, because that's not really what you want to know. Or you're trying to puff yourself up and say. But if you're doing it because you want to know why you choose money over your own spiritual well-being, I have an answer for that. Is it the system we live in or their own unresolved unconscious problems controlling them? Again, are you talking about you? Don't ask me questions about other people. Ask me questions about you. I want to help you. Why do you care about what somebody else does? That's none of your business. Talk to me about you. You only have power over yourself. The only person you can change is you. The only person that will benefit from any self-analysis and judgment is you. Unless you're a teacher and somebody comes to you for help. All of you are coming to me for my help. So I have to analyze you and judge you to help you. But if we were walking down the street, I wouldn't walk up on you and tell you anything. I only wait until you ask me. In fact, if we were walked up and you walked up to me on the street, I would say probably nothing, because I don't walk around doing that kind of thing. Anyway, there you go. Ya Yeet, I want you to listen to what I'm saying. Very important. First thing, if you want to get anywhere on my channel, is you have to be able to follow directions. If you can't follow directions, I can't help you. I've already told you to write the word question before you ask a question. I've already told you to ask me about things that I teach, and ask me about what I'm teaching right now. So you're being disrespectful to me right now, because you're trying to distract me from what I'm talking about right now. I'm not talking about Anunnakis or reptilians. It also tells me you haven't watched my channel, because I've talked about reptilians and Anunnaki already. And if you want to answer that question, learn how to search my channel for those videos. Don't waste everybody else's time trying to ask a question about something I've already talked about and I'm not talking about here. So you're not respecting me, you're not respecting other people, and you're not respecting yourself by listening. So listen up, and I'll be happy to help you. Dean Nevins, question. Can I empower my lower Dantian just by putting my attention on it? Yes. Even when I'm not doing a specific Qigong posture? Yes. Great question. Lower Dantian is your navel center, in case anybody didn't know. All right, so we've run out of questions. I'm going to go through the rest of my list, and then I've got to eat. I'm starving. I'm not starving, but I am rather hungry. So the last thing we said was, so we've got the 9 steps to awakening to your spiritual warrior power, your light worker status, to be an active, conscious part of the shift that is happening, that is coming to a head right now. The 9-fold path that I'm recommending here, which I won't get into all of it in detail this time, maybe we'll do more. Number 1, seek out any victim mentality within you and get rid of it. Number 2, reprogram your mind to the original relationship to your soul in the universe, which says, number 1, you created the universe, you are infinite, you are God, you chose to come here, you're not a victim, and you chose to have your soul experience its joy in 3-dimensional reality. And then when you do that, then you come up with challenges that you create for yourself, which are all of the unresolved karmic issues from past lives. You see them as challenges, they're actually means of growth. So when you understand that you are big and the universe is small and you made it, you flip it on its head, you're not some tiny being in a huge universe, then you have reprogrammed your mind to the original relationship to your soul in the universe. Number 3, clean out your aura, which means just stop doing all the garbage. Coffee, cigarettes, junk food, drugs, alcohol, THC, ayahuasca, stop all of it. Number 4, awaken your orlog through energy work. So now that you've gotten rid of all of the external chemicals, then you do the Hool breath. You do on the channel, I've got the Thor's hammer. Do those 2 things on a daily basis, you'll have everything you need. Or you do the celestial qigong or any of the other energy work, or you get the lockdown package that has all that stuff in it for free. So you do the energy work, that's number 4, and that awakens you to your path, your true path in the world. Number 5, understand your soul purpose. You don't know what your soul purpose is until you know what your soul desire is. Once you know what your soul desire is, then you'll know what your soul purpose is. The next 3. 6, understand karmic challenges. We've already talked about that. Your karmic challenges are when you go after your true soul desire, you will get afraid. You will not have the money. Your parents will tell you not to do it. You won't be able, there will be something, whether internal and or external, that's going to try and stop you. Those are your karmic challenges you've created. You're not a victim. Go, there's a challenge. I can go do that now and I'll get another key. I'll get another level up. Number 7, use your gift. When you level up, you have your soul desire. You're getting what you want out of life. And you have cleaned out your aura. You have your energy work. And then you know what your purpose is, which is what you give back to the world. Then use that gift. Draw the energy from the universe through you, out through your body, so that you actually become this light. You become this being of light in this 3-dimensional space-time. Any of us can do it. We're all destined to do it. If you follow what I'm saying, you'll be able to get to that point. It may take you a little longer or shorter, but you will get there. Number 8, think in multiple lifetimes. So that means stop being so wrapped up in this lifetime. Let me give you an example of this. My father was an alcoholic. He drank himself to death. Died of bladder cancer. And he and I didn't get along very well. And part of the reason we didn't get along, we didn't fight. It's just, there was just tension. There was just this distance and tension between us. And it was because I chose to stop. I chose to stop doing all drugs and all alcohol, and I started doing this path that I was doing. It made him uncomfortable because it made him feel insecure, because every time I came in the house, he was reminded that he was an alcoholic and he was drinking. And so it made him uncomfortable. And there was a lot of internal pressure, not only within my family, this subtle pressure for me to stop being so perfect all the time and to have a beer every now and then, or to whatever. And I didn't do that. And the reason why I didn't do that isn't because I didn't want my family to love me. I wanted them to love me and accept me, and I wanted them to stop giving me such a hard time and stop telling me that I'm, so full of myself, and why are you, trying to make us look bad and all that. I wanted them to love me a lot, but I wanted my own happiness more than I wanted their approval. And then I came to realize that when it came to my dad wasn't going to get sober. He was going to die an alcoholic. He was going to drink himself to death. And I realized that my example was going to be something that he was going to take with him to his next life. And in the next lifetime, whether he consciously knew it or not, my example in this life was going to strengthen him into his next life. So stop thinking about this one life and about getting whatever the hell you need to get from other people in this one life. Or stop thinking about, one of the strangest things is the people who are the most unhealthy are the people who go to the most doctors. The people who are so afraid. They're overweight, they take pills and medication and all that, instead of just living their life and being good to their body. And they drink and they smoke, and then they go to doctors and they end up dying, and they're so afraid of being sick all the time. Stop thinking in this one life. Start thinking in multiple lives. People go off, and some guy just talked about going and following his soul desire, which is to be a kite surfer. And he's worried about the money. Well, if he was living in just one life, he would go, you know what, maybe I should just stay here and save the money, and I shouldn't go do all the... He's not. He's thinking in multiple lives, whether he realizes it or not. He's thinking about his soul, and his soul is thinking about the large track. What your soul wants to do is, it says, in this life, I want to be a kite surfer. In the next life, I want to be Mr. Olympia. And then in this life over here, I want to be a monk. And then this last life, I'm going to figure out the cold fusion, and that's going to be my last life. Your soul is already planning it out ahead. But every time that you don't follow through on what your soul wants to do, you add another life. And that life will be just filled with karma. So if you wonder why people show up and have such really painful, horrible lives, and everybody, again, people don't want to talk about themselves, they want to talk about everybody else. What about all of the poor, starving kids in Africa who are only born with one arm? Are you telling me they chose to come here like that? Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's a life where, they've shirked their responsibility to follow their soul 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lives, and then finally they go, you know what? I'm going to have to figure out what this is all about. This next one, I'm just going to make it really hard on myself, so I'll appreciate it afterwards. Think about, who was that guy? I keep forgetting his name. The really famous physicist who was in a wheelchair, Dr. Stephen Hawking. That guy, by the end of his life, he couldn't even speak, but he was so brilliant. And the only thing he had left was his mind, and he used it right up until the end. And, I don't know what he was like. I'm sure it was really challenging to be him. And I'm sure if he could have snapped his fingers and had all of his health, he would have done it. But I never once heard him complain. I never once heard him say that the Illuminati did it to him, or that the beings of light did it to him. And why is everybody, God and the devil? He took what he had and he made the most of it, and he was a happy guy. I remember seeing him guest starring on Star Trek, and you could see just the glee on his face that he was a guest star on Star Trek. And anybody who complains about, whatever minor little thing, I think about that guy. And I just want to say to them, who the fuck are you to complain about that little thing? So if you want, you can have as much fun as you can possibly stand. And all of your karmic challenges are things you created in order to find the true meaning of your soul. And if you know that you have multiple lives going on, you'll go, next time I'm going to have a full body that works. This time, okay, I only have one arm. What am I here? What did I want to teach myself? So understand your karmic challenges, use your gifts, think in multiple lives, and then transcend, transform. Be willing to let go of all of the tiny little pain in the ass things that aren't perfect and transform. I have the life that I have now because I did that. I don't talk about how incredibly challenging my life was for the first 45, 50 years of my life. I don't talk about it a lot, but I wouldn't wish it on any of you. And trust me, most of the time, those of you who complain about what's going on in your life is nothing compared to the shit I had to go through. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean anything, because, the level of good or bad is immaterial. What's important is that I chose to take full responsibility for my life, all of the good and all the bad, and I didn't even believe it, but I said, I'm just going to act as though I created my life, and I'm going to just decide that I chose everything, and instead of complaining, I'm going to figure out how I can make my life better and get what I want. And I struggled, and it took so much discipline. And I completely transformed my body. 15 years ago, I was really unhealthy. And doctors were telling me I wasn't going to do all kinds of things ever again. And I completely transformed my body. I don't have any physical ailments or illnesses or limitations. Like I said, I'm stronger and healthier than I've ever been. And it's because I chose. I made the decision. I refused to be unhealthy. I refuse to be unhealthy. I refuse to be unhappy. I refuse to not have anything that I want. If I want something, I'm going to get it. And if I don't know how to get it, I'll figure it out. And I know the universe will help me as long as I own it and say, I now own it. I've now decided that that's what I want, and I don't care what it's going to take or how difficult it is, I'm going to have it. You can do the same thing. Just be prepared that you're going to be uncomfortable. If you're okay with that, then you can have whatever you want. That's my experience anyway. All right, so those are my 9 steps to whatever the hell I said I was talking about. Let's see, last minute questions here. Jacqueline question. You go ahead and write out the whole world. Don't be lazy. Write out the whole word question. Do people need food or water, or is there a way to just run off the infinite energy? What do you think? I mean, what kind of question is that? Does that question help you? Is that question really connected to what I've just been talking about this whole time? Do you see me drinking this? Do you know what this is? It's that's a question that's sort of like you've been smoking pot all day and you just came up with some half-assed question to ask me. What do you think? Welcome to the channel. Feel free to ask a real question. I'll be happy to answer it. And now I've given you another challenge to deal with. At some point, I'm going to offend you. It's guaranteed. At some point, I'm going to offend everybody. So anyway, that's all. That's all for me today. Speaking of, do people need food or water? I'm going to go eat because I'm hungry as hell. All right, so that's it for me, guys. Let's see, what is that? All that needs to be there? All that needs to be there. All right, so I will talk to you guys next time, whenever that's going to be. All right, see you later.